So welcome back to lunch, everybody. We are going to be having the lentils with ham. We're going to try this tuna. We have some iced tea with lemon drink mix. We have this vitamin drink. We're going to get a couple nibbles of this chocolate bar. We have another one of these energy bars. And we're going to grab a couple of these vitamin tablets. I tell you what, this has been a pretty substantial ration thus far. It doesn't look like a lot of food when it's laid out on the table, but after you mix this stuff up, this is a pretty filling ration so far. So let's get into this guy. And here we go with the powdery mess. I don't know what it is about these. Travel lunch, the Ziploc doesn't seem to work on them. So that looks, well, like something. It's definitely got a pretty savory smell. I can't actually say that was a pleasant smell. So I have not had this dish before, so I'm not really sure what the consistency is supposed to be. So I'm just going to start with a smaller amount of water, and we'll see what happens. Be sure to dig down into all the bottom corners of your gusset, otherwise it won't mix well. That spoon's kind of hurting. So that's looking pretty good. It already looks kind of thick, so I think maybe just a touch more water might be in order. Just a small amount more. The one thing I can say about these travel lunch pouches is they don't truly have corners. The way the bag is formed, the bag is actually formed at on a circle at the bottom, so it doesn't lend itself to having things packed into the corners that you can't really mix, which is definitely one good thing about this bag design. And I'm going to attempt to seal this. Well, not really, but we're going to roll that up, and then we're going to shake it like it owes us money. I win twice in one ration. That's pretty amazing that I didn't make a mess with that. So we're going to leave that sit for the prescribed 5 to 10 minutes. We're going to mix up this iced tea with lemon. As well as that multivitamin drink. This tea calls for 800 milliliters. That's going to be really shy of 800, but we're just going to top off the glass and see how it tastes. Get out our energy bar. Tell you what, I really did like the one at breakfast. It's a shame they don't give you one of these for every meal, because these are really good. Get that tuna cracked open here. That's a cool looking little can. Calvo. That is a really cool looking can. I'll give them that. Well, it is packed in oil and not just water. One thing I do like about the way they pack this ration, there's a couple of different bags that are in the ration that were perfect for storing these between breakfast and lunch. So these didn't go any more stale while I was, out doing some things in the morning. All right, while we're waiting for that to rehydrate, let's get a bite of this tuna. I guess we're just going to get it out of this can so we can see what we're working with. Definitely packed in a good bit of oil. It's weird because it said tuna pate on the outside of the package, and this certainly just looks like tuna in oil to me. But to be fair, it did just say tuna in olive oil, and that's pretty much what you have, is just tuna in olive oil. Give some of this tuna in olive oil a try. Please don't suck. I can't tell if it's the fact that it's been packed in this olive oil or if this is just a much higher quality tuna than I've seen in other Eastern European rations. But this tuna is actually really good. As far as fish goes, I'm pretty happy with that. You know, I have to say, when I saw that there was tuna in oil, I wasn't really excited about it. I was kind of bummed that it had to have some fish in the ration at all. You know, as you guys know, I'm not really a big seafood fan. Sorry if that, you know, ticks anybody off. It just is what it is. But that said, I'm really surprised by this tuna. It's actually really tasty, very palatable. The really nice thing about this tuna being packed in oil is that it certainly gives a lot more flavor to the tuna. It also makes it a lot easier to eat because it's not drying your mouth out as you're trying to consume it. So that makes this tuna exceptional just as a simple ration ingredient. Just the fact that it's packed in oil. It's a little salty, a little bit oily, which is a good thing, again, because it helps you actually chew it up and get it down without drying out your mouth. This is pretty good. I gotta hand it to them. This was a great idea for an addition to this ration. Let's get a taste of that tea. That is really good and really sweet. Extremely powerful taste. It's obviously mixed in less water than was intended, but you know what? It's really good like that. If you were to run across one of these rations, I would just recommend putting about 12 to 14 ounces of water with this and starting and seeing if that's too sweet or tangy for you. But quite honestly, mixed up like that, that's really good. We're going to give this vitamin drink a try. You know, that's really good. I can't even tell you what flavor that is. That is an extremely mild lemon citrus flavor with a floral aftertaste. It's really strange, but in a good way. I still can't really put my finger on exactly what flavor that is. It doesn't have a strong vitamin aftertaste, like a B vitamin or too much ascorbic acid. That's actually really good. Mixed up in about that 8 to 10 ounces of water that it's in, absolutely perfect. Not overly sweet, not overly tangy, very easy to drink. Should have had one of those in the morning, kind of screwed up on that one, but I'll have 2 of them for dinner to double down. Dinner is obviously going to be the biggest meal of the day. Was just kind of full from breakfast, so I kept it as light as possible for this meal. All right, this main should be done rehydrating. That is nice and thick. In this consistency, it's not very easy to get out of the pouch, I can say that. Alright. That is not the best looking thing I've ever seen come out of a freeze-dried pouch. It is a pretty decent amount of food. This is very thick. Definitely see a lot of lentils, small pieces of carrots, what looks like some rice in here. It did say lentils and ham, but that really looks like there's some rice bits in there, a bunch of them. Not seeing much else in the way of other veggies, just some carrots floating around in there. Let's get a taste of this very mushy, very thick dish here. The ham and lentils definitely rehydrated well. It is good. This is extremely savory and salty. The ham flavor and the salt really stand out. I'm not really in love with this dish, but I certainly could eat it. It's good hearty food, don't get me wrong. I can say that you can add more or less water to this if you want it to be a little bit more thin. I certainly like it a little thicker like this. It's a lot easier to eat, especially if you were trying to dig it out of the pouch. It would more stick to your, well, almost stick to your spoon. It's absolutely filling me up. One thing I can certainly say about this meal is Travel Lunch brand. This really did rehydrate well. Nothing is overly chewy. Everything seems to have hydrated more or less evenly. My only real complaint is there are no directions on the bag as to how much water you should expect to add. So that's a little bit of guesswork, which is kind of unfortunate. At least you have a baseline to know roughly how much water to add to get things started. and then you can adjust accordingly if you want to add some more to thin the mixture out. I think it would be nice to cut some of the saltiness of this dish by adding it to a crisp bread. Now that may be what they had intended with this dish. Let's give that a shot. The great thing about putting a pile of this on the crisp bread is that the crisp bread really cuts the saltiness of this dish, and that just makes it stand out. Like once you cut some of the salt content of this dish out, which the crisp bread certainly does when you're chewing them both at the same time, actually it brings out a much more exceptional flavor that's just kind of hidden by the salt. So by eating it on the crisp bread and getting some of that saltiness to subside, you actually get more of a taste of the lentils and the ham individually without just being overloaded with salt. Yeah, that's absolutely the way to do it right there. Just pile that right on a crisp bread. Well, this salty main is definitely making me thirsty, so I'm going to be pretty happy for that tea and that vitamin drink here in a second. That was not bad at all. We're not going to eat all this chocolate right now. We're going to have a big dessert fest at dinner time. That is a nice looking dark chocolate bar at 57% cacao. Has a nice little leaf molded into the face. That's a pretty cool touch. That's what I'm talking about. I'm telling you what. I don't know what Eastern European countries do with their dark chocolate, whatever voodoo magic they put in this stuff, but damn is it good. I don't know if that's making it to dinner. That really is a high quality piece of chocolate inside of a military ration. That is excellent. A great morale boost for a soldier. Anybody that likes chocolate, especially if you like dark chocolate, you're absolutely going to love that. This energy bar really does have a unique flavor of brown sugar and molasses. It's a really surprising treat in this ration. It's very different from what you are accustomed to. It almost has that cosmic brownie texture. If anybody has ever had a cosmic brownie by Little Debbie or whoever makes those things, you know, those cheesy, crappy brownies you get in the snack cake section at the grocery store, that's the consistency of this thing, but the taste is just a lot more wholesome. Again, brown sugar, molasses, some greens, a raisin or two hanging out in this thing. These are really good. And just for good measure, we will grab a couple more of these vitamin energy candies. Now, I actually had the first pack of these and I snacked on them after I was done the breakfast review. These things are good. I don't know how long they would last in my ration if I were a soldier. I just want to munch on these like pretty quick. I know they're meant to go throughout the day, but these are actually surprisingly good. Well, everybody, this lunch meal is filling me up. I'm going to have to save this honey for later. I'm going to finish up this energy bar. And I'm not going to lie, I'm going to eat that chocolate whether I'm hungry or not, because that's really good. I'll wrap these drinks up. I'll probably munch on that. And I will see you back here for dinner time after I go get some more stuff done and this food digests a bit, because this 24-hour ration is great. I have not been hungry at all today. This is filling, really filling. So I will see you back here for dinner. Well, here we are with dinner, and the first thing we have to do is get these mains heating up. We will start by getting this wild berry dessert rehydrating. That looks nice. That smells absolutely amazing. If you've ever stuck your nose inside of a bag of freeze-dried berries, that's exactly what that smells like. Again, this has no instructions on how much water to add, so we are just making a guess. And we'll let that rehydrate. I am 3 for 3 with the no mess with the pouch. That's pretty great. So while that's rehydrating, we're going to get this beef goulash in this FRH. A pretty decent sized heating pad. And down here on the bottom, it does list where your fill line is for the water. Move that around a little bit, get that pad nice and saturated. We will get ourselves a rock or something. And we will get one of these mineral vitamin drinks mixed up. This drink is really tasty. Those are excellent. I really like those. So we're going to check out this pate. Originally, I was pretty excited about this until I realized it was a fish pate. So I'm not 100% sure about it. We're going to crack into it and find out what it's like anyway. That's very orange. Not what I was expecting. Our flameless ration here is really starting to take off over there. A pretty cool exothermic reaction taking place. Whoa. It's really going. Look at that thing. Alright, so I'm going to get into this orange fish pate. I'm going to get a little taste of it before I even bother putting it on a cracker. That is a really odd color. I'll be honest with you. I've stepped in some things that were not so savory that are kind of that color and that consistency. It's kind of grossing me out at the moment. I'm really trying not to think about it. God, that's weird. That's really weird. It has a... Oh, good Lord. Okay. So, this is like if you were to take some pretty stinky fish and mix it with pumpkin. And it's not just the color. When you first taste this, you get an overwhelming taste of unsweetened pumpkin. Shortly thereafter, the fish taste starts to move in and supplant the pumpkin flavor, and then you get like a dirty fishy flavor. And then after the dirty fishy flavor has run its course, it goes back to pumpkin. So that is really odd. It's like a transformer, and it's definitely like a Decepticon. It's not an Autobot. It's not one of the good guys. That's one of the bad guys. This is shenanigans. Just give me a regular pate. What is up with this fish nonsense? I already had fish. This is just unnecessary roughness. I call shenanigans. I guess I'm going to have to try some of this on the crisp bread. I was really excited about this too. That's kind of a bummer. That really weird... Like, I would just be okay if it was just like unsweetened pumpkin flavor. I love me some pumpkin pie, but that whole pumpkin in the front, dirty fish in the middle, and then pumpkin on the aftertaste is really, really odd. Not something I've ever experienced until this day. That's just weird. And the consistency is like pumpkin pie in a way. Oh, it's... Alright, so let's try it on the crisp bread, see if that mellows it out. That's extremely weird. Hang on for a second. Let me get another bite of this. Just hold one. So that's really odd. When you put this weird fish pate on this crisp bread, it almost deletes some of that crazy fishy flavor. I guess just the neutral taste of the crisp bread kind of soaks up some of that weird fishiness, which is really weird. It enhances the pumpkin, kind of pushes the fish flavor into the background. It's really odd. It's probably one of the stranger items I've had in a ration that was, well, squid notwithstanding. This is really odd. Like pumpkin fish. This is pumpkin fish pate. It's just weird. And don't get me wrong, I'm kind of down for weird. There's something about putting pumpkin and fish together, I'm just not sure if that's okay. And it's really odd because on this crisp bread, the taste is kind of growing on me, and I'm not really sure if that's a good thing or not. It's really, really odd. So if you have ever had the fish pate out of a Slovenian ration, or if you ever just had like pumpkin fish pate somewhere, hit me up in the comments and let me know what you think. What's your experience with this? And as I'm eating this more and more, I'm also noticing a background taste of nutmeg. Now, I don't know if that's just my mind playing tricks on me because there's pumpkin in this, because you can absolutely taste the pumpkin. Maybe my brain is playing tricks on me and trying to convince me that this is somehow like pumpkin pie filling and it should taste like nutmeg. But there is definitely a nutmeg aftertaste. And that's just extremely strange. And what's even stranger is that when it's on the crisp bread, I actually kind of like this. And that's just kind of messing with me because it still tastes like pumpkin fish and I'm not really sure what to do with that. I do have another one of these menus that I'll review in the future. Exact same expiration date as this one. I'm just kind of hoping that it doesn't have pumpkin fish pate in it. I certainly wouldn't not eat this, especially now that it's weirdly growing on me. But it wouldn't be something I would actively seek out either. So there we have the last of the pumpkin fish pate, which is exactly what I'm calling it, because it's exactly what it tastes like. Got the last of our pumpkin fish pate out on some crisp bread. We're going to save those last couple of crisp breads for the main. In case you ever happen to see this out somewhere, there's your crazy pumpkin fish pate brand name. In case you wanted to get in on the pumpkin fish action. So while we're waiting on everything to heat up, we'll check out one of these hand sanitizing wipes. Very, very, very wet. Not extraordinarily strong. If I were to pull on that a little bit more, it would tear. But this is extraordinarily wet, which is nice. You can definitely get your hands nice and clean. And that hand sanitizer does have a nice pleasant scent. So we're going to slide these out of the way, make room for our dessert. That's looking nice. Rounded bottom of this gusseted pouch is really convenient. It stops you from getting the pockets of dried food that get stuck in some of the other freeze-dried meals and mains and sides. So it allows you to really get the water to mix up with everything. It also seems like it would be easier to eat out of because the bottom is rounded. Pumpkin fish pate is still very much weirding me out, but I'm still going to eat it because it's just very interesting. That main's feeling nice and hot. That flameless ration heater did a really good job of heating up this main. The beef goulash with pasta. I have actually never had goulash, so I'm really looking forward to this. Guess maybe a little bit more pasta than beef or goulash, but still looks pretty good. Alright, let's see what this has to offer. That's a pretty decent looking piece of meat. There's not a lot of it in here. Like just kind of gathering all the meat together. There's a lot of pasta, not a lot of meat. That's kind of disappointing, but what meat there is very natural, not processed. That is actually a good looking piece of beef. Let's give that a try on its own. That beef honestly doesn't have a lot of flavor. I mean, it certainly tastes like beef, but just not very flavorful. This ration certainly could have benefited from some salt and pepper. I'm surprised it doesn't have anything. It kind of has everything else, just no salt and pepper. Get a bite of these noodles with the sauce. It's kind of like half of the seasoning that they should have put in this was in the lentils with ham. This is very bland. This is disappointing. I saved this as the last meal of the day because I had never had goulash before. And I was expecting this kind of be the highlight because it was in a retort. It wasn't going to suffer from any of that weird consistency stuff that a freeze-dried meal would suffer from. This is actually kind of disappointing. It's just very bland. I mean, it's edible. It's not bad. But with salt and pepper, this would certainly stand out a lot more and just be a lot easier to eat. As it is now, there's just not a lot of flavor here. It's just kind of like some very bland noodles, some very bland beef. That really is a disappointment, considering the rest of this ration was great. Even the pumpkin fish was kind of good. But this is just, it's just kind of there, which really sucks. I feel like it's kind of adding insult to injury, but maybe this really bland crisp bread will at the very least add some texture to this, because these noodles are not al dente. They're a little on the mushy side. So I'm hoping that by putting some of these together, maybe it'll make it a lot better. All that really is texture. It doesn't add anything interesting to the dish. Considering this is my dinner, it makes me want to go get some salt and pepper to add to this to make it more enjoyable, but I try not to go outside of the boundaries of what was contained in the bag. And there was just no salt and pepper in the ration. Regardless of how active you are, you would not go hungry. And if you're not doing something throughout the course of the day, eating all this food is going to be difficult. If you're not extremely active, having 3 meals of this size is going to be pretty hard. I've been bouncing around, doing a lot of stuff today in between video, and it's hard for me to eat all this. And now that I've eaten all the meat out of this, I've really just lost interest in it. I think I'm just going to leave that on the tray, because quite honestly, oddly enough, I'd rather eat pumpkin fish than that. It's just extremely bland. And a soldier leaving food in his ration is never a good thing. So if I was them, I would at the very least add a seasoning packet, salt, pepper, something to where you could add some flavor to this and actually get it down. And if you're into really bland food, that would be your dish. I'm going back to pumpkin fish. Now, we are definitely going to get some of this berry dessert. This definitely has the texture of like a pudding, and it's warm from being rehydrated. You can definitely see blueberries, some blackberry seeds, small pieces of strawberry in there. Having tasted this off the spoon when I was mixing it, I know this is going to be great. It's very good. It really reminds you of something in between a cobbler and a pudding. It's really hard to describe as far as, texturally. It's somewhere between pudding and a cobbler that all of the crust has just kind of melted into. Since we have it, I'm just going to go ahead and add that sugar to it for fun. This is sweet, but I think it could use a little bit more sweetness. I think it would make it stand out, make it taste a lot better. And since they only gave us that one tiny little pack of coffee, we're going to figure out somewhere else to use up the sugar. All right, let's try that with a little bit of sugar added. Oh yeah, that just makes that berry flavor stand out even more. Just makes it ever so slightly more sweet. That's absolutely amazing. This is a great dessert item, something that you would not normally have in a ration. This definitely has a lot of freeze-dried fruit in it, which gave it a little bit of that bitter taste that the sugar took away completely. So it really just sweetened this up and just made it really good. Just for fun, I'm going to try it with a little piece of this crisp bread. That crisp bread is so mild in flavor that it really can go either to a sweet or a savory. It really lends itself well to giving this some texture. It's actually a really good combo. I really enjoy the crisp bread versus crackers from the sense that they're just a little sturdier than a cracker, and they're very versatile. They're certainly a lot more crunchy than a cracker, and especially with something like this with a flavor so mild that you can either, add it to a main dish or add it to a dessert, use it with pumpkin fish or honey. It's a really good addition to a ration. And there was also a good bit of this berry dessert in that pouch, which is really nice. Even with not finishing the main, this is really filling. Now, before I get into this gum, I want to try something. And even in my mind, I'm thinking it's really weird. But that said, that pumpkin fish pate on that crisp bread really, really tastes like pumpkin pie. So I'm just wondering, if I were to add some honey to that pumpkin tuna pate, will it taste like pumpkin pie? Or at least some close facsimile? This is probably a bad idea. This is probably an exceptionally bad idea, but I'm going to try it anyway because it seems like the right thing to do. I may be about to punish myself for something I didn't even do, but we're going to give it a shot. Let's take a look at that mess. That's a little pumpkin fish pate with honey. I really think this is going to taste like pumpkin pie. All right. No. Oh, God. Oh. Okay. That didn't work. That just made the fish flavor pop back out, and then it made the pumpkin taste really sweet, and it tastes like sweet fish. Don't try that at home. That was an exceptionally bad idea. And now for some reason the fish aftertaste is lingering in my mouth instead of the pumpkin flavor. Wow, that was not the best idea I've ever had. Thank goodness for that. We're going to give this gum a try because I always forget to. Get a good bit of gum. So we'll grab a couple of those. Oh, that's hard as hell. Okay, that's not too bad. After chewing on this for about 30, 45 seconds or so, it starts to soften up. It is a very tough consistency gum, though. Pretty pleasant peppermint flavor. Very powerful. But just beware, when you first start in on this stuff, it's real tough. So if you're not paying attention, you could definitely mess your teeth up on that. So I only have a little bit of food left over here. I'm not going to finish that. I spoiled my pumpkin fish pate by adding honey to it, so I'm not going back to that. I just can't do it. I am going to finish up this honey and that crisp bread. I will absolutely snack on these for the remainder of the day because they're really good. Giant strawberry Smarties. That's a great idea for a ration, especially if they're vitamin fortified. So, from my calculations, from all the packaging that was inside of this ration, I counted it up. This ration is about 4,600 calories. That's crazy. That's a lot of calories. There was a lot of food in this ration. Most of it was really good. This was the only disappointing thing in the ration. And this is edible. It just kind of sucks. Otherwise, this has really been a great ration. So thank you guys for joining me here on Ration Nerd for this Slovenian 24-hour ration. This was really good. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thank you guys for 250 subscribers. I want to keep it going, keep it moving, get more rations on the table, eat more weird shit. Well, I mean, I guess it's just kind of the nature of the beast. I'm not trying to do that again. Somebody remind me if I ever put pumpkin pate on my plate again, not to mix the damn honey with it, because that was just a really bad idea. But thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the next video. Until next time, eat them up. I still can't believe that 250 people want to watch me eat stuff. It really does blow my mind that 250 people, 250 other people on this planet want to sit here and watch me eat stuff. I mean, you guys are cool. You know, I would share this pretty amazing Slovenian honey with you if you were here, but you're not, and it'd be weird if you were because, you know, internet's a weird place. But, you know, if I decide to leave this in the video, you know, maybe I'll leave it in as a little end thing, but shush, I run off the mouth of the videos and the long and the whatever. Is that still on? Oh, shit.